It's Thursday, April 28. In the headlines, NWC customers to pay more come May. CXC exams delayed by 3 weeks. Regionally, Grenadians are going to the polls soon, and a motion of no confidence filed against Prime Minister of St. Kitts. In sports, Jamaican footballers honored on the international scene. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gill. Caribbean Examinations Council CXC exams have been delayed by 3 weeks. This announcement was made at a press conference on Wednesday. CXC Registrar Dr. Wayne Wesley says the decision was made during a special joint meeting of the School Examinations Committee SEC and the Council.
The Caribbean Examinations Council stands in solidarity with the region and the international community as we grapple with the impact of COVID-19 on our way of life. The Council recognizes the impact of COVID-19 on the education system in general, and more specifically on the schedule of CXC's regional examinations. At a special meeting of Council this morning, the governing board of the Caribbean Examinations Council, which is made up of governments from across the region, was held today, following feedback from regional ministries of education on the timing of the 2022 regional examinations. Members of Council reviewed and reached a consensus on the recommendations for CXC's Schools Examination Committee on the strategy for 2022 regional examinations. After careful deliberation and consideration of all the pertinent issues, Council agreed that the revised strategy for the 2022 regional examinations shall be as follows: a delay in the sitting of the regional examinations by 3 weeks. This will provide candidates with additional time to prepare for the examinations. Therefore, examinations will commence on Monday, the 23rd of May, 2022.
The Ministry of Education in Jamaica had been appealing to CXC from as early as January for postponement of the regional examinations. This sentiment was also echoed by the Caribbean Union of Teachers and local teachers unions in Barbados. In seeking the postponement, Minister of Education Favour Williams says she sent a correspondence last Friday seeking a meeting with Barbados' Minister of Education, Kay McConney, in her capacity as chairperson of CARICOM's Council for Human and Social Development, after several appeals to CXC to delay the exams since January went unheeded. Dr. Wesley notes that teachers have been given 2 more weeks to submit grades for student-based assessments to CXC, and the results of examinations will be released between late August and early September. This change of heart comes as a surprise to some, as 6 days ago, the regional examinations body had no intention of changing the exam schedule. Labour and Social Security Minister Carl Samuda says the actuarial reports for the 2019 and 2022 of National Insurance Scheme are slated to be completed by next year. He explained during his contribution to the sectoral debate in Parliament on Wednesday that the 2019 actuarial review has started and both reports will be finished by early next year.
As a minister who has to ensure that the National Insurance Fund remains viable, I'm mindful that all increases are made on a basis of sound information from experts in the field. The NIX expended $20 billion to provide close to 120,000 pensions at the end of March 2021. It's not a child's play. Already over 133,000 pensions are now being paid. It is very important to know that all recommendations concerning an increase in the rates of benefits paid are based on the recommendations of the actuarial review.
Minister Samuda says amendments to the National Insurance Act that addressed increases in the contribution rates and insurable wage ceiling were passed last year. He says these increases represent one aspect of the reform of the NIS.
This bold move signaled that the financial sustainability of the NIS and the income security of the workers in this country continues to be a priority. The reform measures recommended by the advisory and implemented since 2019 continues to yield increases in net contributions.
Minister Samuda also noted that the review will take into consideration the pension program. Opposition spokeswoman on Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Lisa Hanna, wants the government to pass legislation that will aid Jamaicans interested in investing in digital management. While making her contribution to the sectoral debate on Tuesday, member Hanna said the world is moving ahead with the use of digital currency in the metaverse, and Jamaica is lagging behind. A metaverse is a network of 3D virtual worlds focused on social connection. Here's more in this report. Opposition spokeswoman on Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Lisa Hanna, says the world is morphing into a digital space with each passing day. She says government should seek to take advantage of the economic gains in the evolving digital commerce.
Now you can digitally register anything that you own with cloud registration, also known as blockchain, to which everyone has access.
Ms. Hanna pointed to the economic benefit of NFTs.
Madam Speaker, an NFT is a unique certificate of registration of a digital asset or a one-of-a-kind digital asset that only belongs to you. You are now buying into a community, and every time you buy that asset, anybody that uses that asset has to pay you something from it.
She explains that other countries are already using brand Jamaica to make money, particularly in the metaverse.
Jamaica is a global brand, and we need to brand the metaverse with NFT, Jamaican, everything. The issue is that right now, there are people in other countries who are building Jamaica that you can visit without even coming here when you put on your digital things, and selling those vacations in the metaverse.
Member Hanna says Jamaica is in danger of being left behind, and she's urging government to pass legislation in aid of digital management.
We are not taking advantage of it, and it is going to leave us, and I am concerned. So, what is going to happen? We must have a situation where Prime Minister, we have to find a way for artists in Jamaica because many of them have to now log their accounts overseas because Jamaica does not allow you to trade in cryptocurrencies. They have to form their cryptocurrencies accounts overseas. So this is a call to action for all of us inside here to develop the legislation for Jamaican artists, musicians, and content creators to monetize their content by leapfrogging their minds to this new reality of digital ownership management and the sale of NFTs and metaverse content with cryptocurrency.
Consumers engaging in or contemplating online purchases are being assured that there are provisions under the Electronic Transactions E-Transactions Act 2006 to safeguard their interests. Legal officer at the Consumer Affairs Commission, Sasha Gay Russell, says the act outlines certain obligations under the second schedule, which merchants providing goods and services digitally are required to fulfill. She provided details during the CAC Live Digital Public Education Program on Wednesday. Among these stipulations, Ms. Russell informs, are the need for vendors' full names to be displayed during transactions, as well as their geographical, physical website and email addresses and contact numbers. Additionally, she says suppliers should disclose whether their entities are registered or incorporated under any law, their registration number and place of registration. Ms. Russell notes that merchants are required to indicate whether they are members of any regulatory or accreditation body or subscribe to SAME and the contact numbers for those organizations in the event clients need to file complaints. Suppliers are also expected to provide clients with a description or the main characteristics and the type of products being purchased and the full cost involved, including courier services. The CAC Council is urging merchants to practice transparency in conducting online business transactions, as with any other format of this undertaking. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is set to depart today, April 28, 2022, for 2 stops in the United States of America as part of engagements with the diaspora to mark Jamaica's 60 celebrations. According to the Office of the Prime Minister, Mr. Holness will first stop in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania as part of activities marking Jamaica's 60th year of independence and 58 years at the Pen Relays. The Prime Minister will also visit New York before his return to Jamaica for the Jamaica 60th launch reception, which is scheduled for May 1, 2022. During his visit, the Prime Minister will have key meetings with stakeholders in the government, education, and private sectors. The Prime Minister returns to Jamaica on May 2, 2022. During the Prime Minister's absence, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, will be in charge of the government. In the business report, National Water Commission customers can expect an increase in bills next month. We have this story plus the latest market updates from reporter Danita Rodney.
National Water Commission (NWC) customers are to expect an 11.7% increase in their bills starting in May. The NWC explained that the change in the rates is a result of the resetting of the base rates of the components used in the calculation of the price adjustment mechanism. The Water Commission also said these factors are outside of the control of the NWC. As of Thursday, April 28, gas prices are down 25 cents and diesel prices up by $4.50. Petroleum says 87 and 90 octane gasoline down by 25 cents will be sold for $193.64 and $198.65 per liter respectively. Automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $207.20 per liter after a $4.50 increase. Continuing with the $4.50 increase, ultra-low sulfur diesel will be sold for $209.93 per liter, and kerosene will be sold for $180.05 per liter. Meanwhile, propane liquid petroleum with a 50 cents decrease will be sold for $80 per liter, while butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $90.92 per liter after a 25 cents decrease. Remember to be on the lookout for price changes as marketing companies and retailers will add their own markups to these prices. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, April 27, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.58. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $123.55. The pound sterling traded for $196.72, and the euro sold for an average of $167.81. The following reflects the movement of the JSE indices in Wednesday's trading session. The JSE index advanced by 2,893 points to close at over 300,000 units. The junior market index advanced by 15 points to close at over 4,000 units. The combined market index advanced by 2,845 points to close at over 400,000 units. And the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 1,335 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 103 stocks, of which 46 advanced, 44 declined, and 13 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 13A Student Living Jamaica Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, CAC 2000 Limited, and Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited. Trading firm were Barita Investments Limited, CAC 2000 9.5% cumulative redeemable preference shares, and Siboney Group Limited. The following companies represent the overall volume leaders. JMMB Group Limited 7.35% cumulative redeemable preference share with over 3 million units. Aircrete Limited ordinary shares with over 2 million units, and Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 1 million units. In regional stocks in Trinidad and Tobago, Clico Investment Fund was the sole security trading over 7,000 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Government of Barbados Bond Series B was the sole security trading over 11,000 shares. In international news, Russia is suspending gas deliveries to Poland and Bulgaria. The decision has escalated tensions with the West while also highlighting Europe's dependency on Russian imports. More from Al Jazeera News.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says Ukraine was pushed to clash with Russia, and Moscow's reaction was just and fair. Speaking to politicians in St. Petersburg, he warned that any country that interferes in Ukraine will face consequences.
If anyone would want to interfere with what's happening in Ukraine now from the outside, they have to know Russia's response will be swift and fast. We have all sorts of tools that the West cannot obtain, and we will not boast of our weapons, but we will use them if need be, and I want everyone to know that.
Dost Jabari has this update from Moscow.
The Russian president is not really passing up this opportunity to reiterate the reasons that he felt it was necessary for him to make the decision to send the Russian troops into Ukraine in what he calls a special military operation that is now in its 63rd day. Vladimir Putin, as we just heard, had a very strong and stern warning for those countries that are assisting Ukraine in the fight against the Russian troops. He said that they're basically fair game for the Russians, and that this is a fight between Russia and Ukraine, and that the third countries that are getting involved really have no right to do so, and that he feels that he will be forced to make a decision as to whether or not to use all the tools that are at his disposal to ensure a victory for the Russian military. Now, Vladimir Putin was also speaking quite a bit about the objectives that he set out for his legislative officials about ensuring that Russia's economy stays intact, and he said that the attempts that have been made by the Western powers to try to cripple Russia's economy through severe sanctions have failed, and that Russia is standing still and they are not going to allow its economy to crumble. He also urged the officials that he was speaking to, he said they have to work on anti-crisis measures, and also they have to strengthen the country's sovereignty. There's a lot of emphasis on trying to basically ensure that Russia's economy stays strong and that the ruble doesn't plummet like it did a few weeks ago.
To what's happening on the battlefield, and Mariupol city officials say Russia continues to strike the last remaining Ukrainian army positions there, with 35 aerial hits since Monday. Thousands of Ukrainian fighters and civilians are in underground tunnels and chambers below the Azovstal steel plant. Last week, Vladimir Putin ordered troops not to storm the plant, but blockade it. Russia agreed in principle to allow the UN and the Red Cross to help evacuate civilians from the steel plant in Mariupol after Putin's meeting with the UN Secretary-General on Tuesday.
In the Mariupol direction, the enemy is exerting massive fire and blocking our units in the area of the Azovstal plant. In the city, occupiers continue to carry out filtration measures against the civilian population.
And there have been protests in Kyiv demanding safe humanitarian corridors out of the Azovstal steel plant. Mothers and wives of soldiers fighting in Mariupol attended the demonstrations. Agreements between Ukraine and Russia to allow safe passage of fighters and civilians have failed so far. Ukrainian forces are also confronting the Russian military in the east. Fierce fighting has been reported in Mykolaiv and Kherson in the southeast. Russian forces also shelled the town of Lyman. In southern Ukraine, the Russian military has fired tear gas and stun grenades at protesters in the city of Kherson. People are rallying against what they're calling a sham referendum. Ukraine says Russia is planning to hold a staged vote in the Kherson region to try and show popular support for the creation of a Russian-backed republic. Kherson is occupied by Russian troops, and residents have been protesting against their presence for weeks.
In market data for oil prices dipped this morning as investors weighed up tightening Russian supplies and the prospect of declining fuel demand in China. Brent crude was down 63 cents or 0.6% at $104.69 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude lost 49 cents or 0.5% to $101.53 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, disgruntled members of the coalition Team Unity government has confirmed that they had filed a motion of no confidence against St. Kitts Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris. The coalition team says it is still open to some form of reconciliation to end the rift that has split the 6-year-old government. Deputy Prime Minister and leader of the People's Action Movement, Sean Richards, says in a broadcast that the motion had been filed on Monday and they were also leaving the door ajar, but only for a short while. Last week, 7 legislators linked to the government wrote to the Governor General, Sir Samuel Weymouth Tapley Seaton, indicating that the Prime Minister does not command the support of the majority of elected members in the National Assembly. Grenadians are awaiting the imminent announcement of the date for the next general election after Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell said he would be approaching Governor General Dame Cecile Legrand to dissolve Parliament. Mitchell, addressing a meeting of his ruling New National Party recently, did not indicate when he would be approaching the head of the state. Still, there has been widespread speculation that the polls will be held this year, constitutionally due by 2023. Dr. Mitchell said, quote, "As we move forward, I want to say there are 2 stages for a general election. The Prime Minister also has to call on the Governor General to dissolve Parliament. That is the first stage," end quote. NNP has won all 15 seats in Parliament in the last 2 general elections. Seeds of Hope, a scholarship program at the University of the West Indies 5 Islands campus, is benefiting inmates at Her Majesty's Prison. 4 scholarships were officially announced on Tuesday. Jessica Russell reports.
4 inmates at Her Majesty's Prison are recipients of scholarships here at the University of the West Indies 5 Islands campus.
Today we're feeling ecstatic, we're over the moon.
Excitement is what these 2 feel on being recipients of a scholarship for a short entrepreneurship course at the University of the West Indies 5 Islands campus. Kenesha White and Joel Seraphin are 2 of 4 inmates at Her Majesty's Prison benefiting from the Seeds of Hope program to pursue a professional course at the university's Lifelong Learning Unit. Seraphin says other inmates are still in disbelief at the initiative.
They think it's not a reality, because many people have came before and spoke of different projects and it have never come through. Now that we actually went through, like that's the head talk in the prison.
Keneal Martin and Colin Marine are the other lucky beneficiaries. Paula Lee heads the Lifelong Learning Unit.
Learning must never be contained within a prescribed space. Its effects must be felt within the perimeter walls of the prison and beyond the confines of the prison.
An unnamed donor provided scholarships, and Lee decided to award 40 inmates after Law Reform Officer Adlai Smith inquired on what programs prisoners could partake in.
Is it not eminent good sense to train our residents of the prison with the skills that hopefully will increase their survivability in the world once they get out of there?
The prison superintendent, Jermaine Anthony, says there are many benefits to educating the imprisoned.
Reducing recidivism is the goal of prison education. The impact and influence of education in prison is undeniable. Education in prison can provide residents with the opportunity to learn new skills and to give them a renewed sense of purpose.
The 10 to 13-week course is delivered fully online with sponsors Rotary Club of Antigua and Computer Reset lending support to the prison. Students who successfully complete the course will receive a certificate. Jessica Russell, ABS News.
St. Lucia's Reparations Committee on April 26 signaled to the British monarchy and the visiting royals its non-negotiable demands for an official apology and retribution for its role in the slave trade.
The shackles of slavery are off, but St. Lucia and a number of CARICOM states remain linked in their collective demand for retribution from their former colonizers, specifically the British monarchy. Resurgent reparation demands have overshadowed Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee celebrations in the Caribbean. The Earl and Countess of Wessex are scheduled to depart St. Lucia on April 28th after a heavily scrutinized 6-day visit to the sub-region. There are no scheduled meetings for the Wessexes to meet with reparation interest groups, but that has not dissuaded the National Reparations Committee from expressing their decades-old desire to see the institutions complicit in the transatlantic slave trade compensate their former colonies.
Brothers and sisters, it may be difficult for us to really be able to identify or to estimate the current wealth of the royal family and to determine what amount came as a result of transatlantic slave trade. But we are fully aware that the proceeds of slavery was involved. It funded the British Treasury.
Protests and anti-monarchy expressions have trailed the heirs to the British throne over the course of their royal tour of former colonies.
In sports, informed Jamaicans Dane Kelly, Kennard Forbes and Kevon Lambert have all been named to the United Soccer League Team of the Week following outstanding recent performances for their respective clubs. The 31-year-old Kelly netted a brace last weekend to take his tally for the new season to 6 goals, while Forbes continued to flaunt his playmaking capabilities with 2 assists in the same game, which saw Pittsburgh Riverheads rout Atlanta United 4-0. There were 2 of 3 Riverhounds players named to the Team of the Week. Kelly has made an outstanding start to the season since joining the Charlotte Independents, and his form has seen Riverhounds climb to 2nd in the Eastern Conference within just 2 points of lead held by Louisville City. Forbes, meanwhile, earned his spot on the Team of the Week after setting up Kelly's 2nd goal against Atlanta and then another for Russell Sirason with 2 brilliant through balls. He has 4 assists already this season, 35 for Riverhounds overall and a record 49 in the USL. In other sporting news, Jamaica Rugby Sevens captain O'Shane Eddie wants more support for the team. The team is 2 wins away from qualifying for the 2022 Rugby Sevens World Cup after winning their group in the 2022 World Cup qualifiers in the Bahamas on Saturday. The men's Rugby Sevens team will face the Cayman Islands in the quarterfinals at 10:36 a.m. Jamaica time on Sunday. Already looking ahead, Eddie says with more support, the team would be even more competitive at the 2022 Rugby Sevens World Cup in South Africa in September. The Reggae Crocs secured a historic 2nd straight qualifier for the Premier Rugby Sevens showpiece after reaching the final of the North American Rugby qualifiers. Eddie, who was also part of the 2018 team that qualified for the country's first World Cup, noted that they have achieved their goals under very trying circumstances with minimum support. However, he believes that if they can get a field to train on, proper financial assistance for airfare, and get into few tournaments before the World Cup, it would help a great deal in lifting the level of the team so they can compete with the bigger boys. And with that, we throw the ball back to regular programming. Join us on Friday for the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gill. Thank you for watching.